Why the Russia-Ukraine crisis should remind Africa of something. Concern has mounted over the possible disruption of gas supply from Russia, Europe's biggest gas provider, following the buildup of Russian troops near Ukraine and heightened tensions between Moscow and the West. The US administration and the EU have asked other countries such as Qatar and Japan to help provide extra liquefied natural gas shipments should Russia attack Ukraine and sanctions be imposed on Russia. But not all countries in the EU seem to agree that sanctions should include energy sanctions. For instance, the Prime Minister of Italy is opposed for sanctions including energy. He said that any sanctions that may be imposed on Russia by the EU should not include energy imports. So one thing is clear from this whole crisis, that Europe cannot live or stay without Russia, but Russia can easily do without Europe, and that's why they are not scared by the sanctions. As a matter of fact, they have some of the sanctions imposed on their economy from 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea. And you cannot discuss the Russia versus West crisis without mentioning NATO. And you have to understand that NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which was established in 1949, was established to counter the Soviet expansion westwards, and the Soviet collapsed in the late 80s. But from that day, NATO has been expanding eastwards like wildfire, consuming up all countries that were former Soviet republics. And so, how does all this relate to Africa? Now, from this point on, when I refer to NATO, I'm referring to the Western hegemony, the United States and the West. So, NATO's main goal is to encircle Russia and dominate them. It is a tactic that has been used by the Western powers to ensure that if they design their economies to rely heavily on a certain resource, they need to be assured that they will be accessing that resource without interruption. Now that the European countries are trying to go green and they'll be needing more and more of the Russian gas for a foreseeable future, they need guarantees. They need to be assured that the access to that resource will be uninterrupted. And that's the tactic they have been doing in Africa. That's what they did to Congo. They ensured that the access to lithium, the access to copper, the access to coltan is uninterrupted, and that's how they install weaker governments, and anyone or any leader who tries to be stronger, they remove them. Mobutu of former Zaire tried to be stronger, he got removed. Gaddafi from Libya, he tried to be strong, but eventually he was removed. And Vladimir Putin, in the year 2011, they attempted to remove him through a revolution. It failed in Russia, but it succeeded in Ukraine, where the president at the time was removed through what they called the Orange Revolution. So, unlike Africa, Russia is a superpower. It's a military superpower. Putin is able to stand up to this Western hegemony. And it's even harder to try to use force to invade Russia, especially the fact that the country is a nuclear superpower. But most of the tactics that they use in Africa, or they have been using in Africa, they have tried the same in Russia. They have tried revolutions. They have tried the possible assassination of Putin. They have even tried imposing or supporting a weaker presidential candidate, a president who would be friendlier to the West and allow them to move in and take control of the Russian resources. So all this shows that Africa and Russia have almost a similar problems, or they are faced with similar kind of scenarios when it comes to Western hegemony.